All right guys, so this video is gonna be a little bit different than what I normally put up here. So we just last night arrived after 3 days in a Subaru Forester. Drove cross country, just arrived in Florida last night. This is the place where I grew up.
Yeah, I know, I was checking to find out where you were from the morning, like, we're going to Mama. Let's make sure
That's what Ben was like. Oh.
We're gonna be down here for quite a while. The hunting season is still on. I've got some trips lined up where we're gonna be chasing, oh damn, there is a bunch of dove. Holy cow, look at all of them. Yeah, we're gonna chase them too. I think the dove season's still on. Man, look at that. Anyway, we went this morning and cut the family Christmas tree, which is kind of a sad excuse for a Christmas tree, but they're little eastern red cedars that grow in the swamp down here. But that's what we always got when I was a kid, so that's what we're gonna have this year.
We don't go to stores and buy Christmas trees. Let's go. Hop down for a minute. You little monkey.
Maisie!
climb off that side. There you go.
Alrighty. Good job. This one's fine, Dad.
You like this one? Man, I like that one. It's got like 3 branches on it. There's one down in there I might be able to get.
I like that one.
You like this one right here?
Yeah, I like this one right here.
All right, y'all back up. See if I can get this old saw started. It's probably, I'm sure it hadn't been sharpened in the past 5 years. All right, there you go. Here you go, Coy, drag it out. Man, that thing is awesome. It's the prettiest Christmas tree I've ever seen. Hey, look, there's some dove. Oh, what is that, dove? No, those are killdeer.
Nutso here.
All right.
Dad, can you help me get on that?
Hang on, wait, come on the tree.
Hey, that's a beautiful tree.
You like the tree, buddy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mom,
Yes.
Dad, can you help me get on that horse?
Yeah, buddy, I can help you get on your horse. Man, Charlie Brown would be proud.
That's a good Charlie Brown tree. That's
Heck
much
yeah.
better than the ones that we used to get here.
We might be able to hang 3 ornaments on this one. Where can I get some of them skinny jeans?
How we are about
What you working on?
Just getting this glue off here before I try to sand it.
Ah. Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, that'll work. Right now, I'm actually headed back. I got a hot wire here. I gotta duck under without getting zapped. I'm headed back here to the back where I used to do, when I was a kid, I'd do a lot of squirrel hunting. And my oldest boy, Coy, last summer, or 2 summers ago, I think, earned half the money to buy a little 22 Savage Rascal. And we went rabbit hunting a couple years ago, or right when he first got it, but didn't end up getting anything. But I'm hoping that we can find some gray squirrels down here, because that's what I cut my teeth on. And if we can get into some good squirrels, I know he's gonna absolutely love it. But I'm just taking a little walk back here just to see what I can find. Man, I can't even begin to tell you how many, probably cumulative years I've spent in these swamps right here. Hunting squirrels, catching snakes, coon hunting, fishing, and just, I mean, building forts, you name it. Brings back a lot of memories to traipse around these places. There's a bunch of live oaks down here. Big old live oaks. And they create a little acorn, little smaller than the Indy or Pinky. And the squirrels get down in here and just wear them out. Now, I don't know if anybody's been down here messing with them. If somebody's been down here messing with them, they get kind of skittish. And you know, the populations kind of go through fluctuations. They'll go up and down. But I'm sure that we must be able to find a few. I know we'll be able to find a few. And I used to have trails, forts, all sorts of stuff in here. I'm not seeing a whole lot. Like, seeing very few nests. I don't hang out for a few minutes and see if something pokes their head out. I see a couple of nests, but not what you would expect to see if there were a bunch of them, a bunch of squirrels. I'm not seeing any acorns on the ground either. Oh, there's one. It was just hiding from me. That's one of them heavy duty cans there. I'll have to come back and get that later. There's a bunch of these eastern red cedars right here that are pretty clean. Those things make awesome sinew-backed bows. I have to go and get one of them. Yeah, that one's gonna become a bow right there. Looky here, we got a little buck rub, or a scrape. That one's fresh. And another one up there. Uh-huh. So I just walked up on somebody's old, looked like they had a little place cleared out here for a food plot. There's scrapes and stuff all through here. So a little buck's been working this area, but there's a little deer feeder over here. It's like a box blind or something back over here. But in Florida, baiting is legal, and it's the way that, there's another little scrape here. It's probably the way that, on private land anyway, it's the way that most people hunt deer. And it's kind of the way that I grew up hunting deer, and I didn't, until I moved away from Florida, moved to Mississippi, where baiting wasn't legal. Until that happened, I didn't really learn how to pattern deer. I didn't really learn how to analyze a landscape and figure out where they're bedding, where they're feeding, what the transition areas are, all that stuff, you know. You just come at, at least the way that I did it when I was growing up, you did just like what we have here. You know, you came out, you cleared a little spot, threw down some ryegrass and clover, stuck a corn feeder on it, and that was your hunting spot. You know, it's just a different way of hunting, I guess. It is definitely not the way that I want to hunt. And I'm glad that I was kind of forced away from that, because it's, you know, when I moved to those other areas, I really learned how to hunt. You hunt that more than a couple of times. You sit in that shooting house more than a couple of times, and these deer are gonna get you figured out. I mean, when you have a situation like this where you're putting out corn or bait or whatever, and your neighbor like 500 yards away is doing the same thing, I mean, it's really not any different than hunting any other food source. A good acorn tree or something like that, which I might, that's a really good scrape line. I might come in and set up a tree stand on that thing and just hang out. Doesn't look like there's been any corn in here for quite some time, so I would prefer to hunt deer as they're kind of moving naturally through the landscape. I'm not seeing the squirrels, man. I hear a squirrel. But the big difference between hunting here and hunting out west is that you're literally, like, I am looking through the woods and I can see houses. I can hear cars all over the place. There's freaking helicopters. it's just totally, totally, totally different. But we're right on the edge of this beaver swamp right here. And the deer aren't really gonna be moving through that. So we're kind of like right on an edge right here. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I gotta go get a hunt license. So I need to figure out like what is the predominant wind in here, because right now the wind is kind of coming this way. We've got a big scrub patch, which I would suspect is where they're bedding. Real thick Yopon holly, just oak saplings, things like that. And then on behind us here, we've got this beaver swamp, and the wind is blowing from the bedding onto that swamp. And there's a scrape line running along this edge, but we've got this little front thing moving in. And so I don't know if this is gonna hold. But if it does, setting up in one of these big live oaks is probably a pretty good bet. But these deer will just, there's probably deer watching me right now. They're so inundated with people, like they see people, hear people, smell people all the time. And they eventually learn that just, if they just chill, just hang out and bed down, that you'll just walk right by them. And I've seen that time and time and time again. And they know, like I said, they smell people all the time, but they know where you're supposed to be and where you're not supposed to be. Like back here behind me is the ranch. There's always people in there. Deer smells you back there, don't care. They'll walk right by, don't pay any attention. A deer smells you on the other side of the creek where there's no real reason for a person to be except for hunting. That gets them worried. So you can hear the helicopters in the background. There's actually, so we're not too far from Pensacola. It's a big, kind of lot of Air Force and Naval activity around here, and that's what those helicopters are from the airfield. It's not far from here, but it's like mid-December right now, and it's kind of like, for the whitetails, it's like pre-rut, and which is kind of why I'm excited about that scrape line. Look very active. Right now is the time to be hunting that type of stuff, because those bucks, I mean, the does really haven't started coming into heat yet. Once they start coming into heat, I mean, the bucks will kind of abandon those scrapes, but right now they're just cruising those things, looking for the first couple of does that are going to be coming into heat. But the other thing about the rut down here is the rut's not going to get kicked in until late December, early January. But then it's like really spread out. You know, like in the northern states, you have a pretty compact, like a really tight rut. And that's due to a couple of things. You know, age class structure of the bucks is one thing, or age class structure of the population is one thing. But the other thing is the harshness of the winters. And so if you have a deer that's born late, they're not going to be able to put on enough body mass to make it through that first winter. You have a deer that's born too early, and there's just not enough nutrition, not enough green up in the spring for the doe to support that fawn. And so you have a pretty tight window. But in the south here, you don't have those kind of pressures. You don't have the harsh winters that dictate those things. And so you have a very spread out rut. You have a very spread out fawn drop. And so you might see bucks chasing does in early December all the way through February here. So it's kind of interesting. What are you doing?
Resting.
What do you think about the tree?
I love it. It's beautiful. But there's no room for Star. Or an angel. Since it's bent over the top.
I thought I did a good job.
You did a very good job. Thank you.